works so well, you can't believe you lived without it. That's what the truth is like. We are back with another reflection on the daily Vedantic, and today's episode is on this notion that conversion is for losers. This is taken from Peter Thiel, one of the best startup investors of all time. He has a chapter in his book 0 to 1, Competition is for Losers. And he talks about how there are so many things we pursue in life because so many other people are pursuing it. And it attracts so many more people because they think, well, this must be good if it's hard to get into an Ivy League school. If it's hard to become a clerk on the Supreme Court, then when I get out of law school, that's what I've got to go do. It's so hard. And he recognized that he could try to go become a clerk for the Supreme Court when he graduated law school at Stanford, or he could start a startup. No one was really starting startups at the time. Very few of his classmates were even thinking about that. Ended up starting a startup, created PayPal, sold it for $2 billion. And he realized, I wanted to be a clerk because that would be prestigious. That would get me hired at an amazing law firm, work there for 30 years, and I'd be financially well off. Or he could circumvent the whole system, start a startup, and he has now become a billionaire because of that choice. I think he actually was even denied clerkship on the Supreme Court, so he didn't get what he thought everybody should want. And that story and a few others like it created this narrative in his head that you want to build a business where there aren't 10,000 people competing for the same customer. And said succinctly, competition is for losers. The philosophy of Vedanta it's not a religion. There are no shoulds and shouldn'ts. There are no shouts, shall nots. There are no rites, rituals, things that you need to do to be a part of it. There are no credos. There are no things that you need to say, I believe, ... It's a total buffet, which is so funny because growing up Catholic, that was a derogatory term to treat Catholicism or Christianity as a buffet of taking things that you like and leaving what you don't like. And this philosophy is all about take what you like, leave the rest if you don't like it. It doesn't need anything of us. It certainly doesn't need anyone to convert anyone to it, or need anyone to fulfill their duty of following or subscribing to it by trying to convert others. No conversion needed. It's kind of like GPS in your car or on your phone. Did someone proselytize the value of GPS on your phone or Google Maps or Apple Maps? Did someone advocate, evangelize that you've got to start using this? You have to, or you'll get lost. And every time you question it, your community just says, no, stick to it. You need to stick to it or you will get lost. And you're kind of already lost. And you're like, this isn't really helping, but everyone around me is so adamant that I need to stick to using it and it will help me not get lost. But I kind of am always lost. It's not really working like they say it is. No. You used it and it worked. There was no big evangelism campaign. It just worked. The truth is a lot like that. When you apply it to your life, to the world around you, it just works. It gets you where you're going. It does not require a massive, organized effort towards converting you towards the truth. Gravity's doing just fine, whether there is a huge lobby of people pushing for it or not. Same goes for philosophical truths. But when you do stumble on them, then alignment with those truths, it is like using Google Maps and being like, holy shit, I ain't going back to Maps Go or driving blind or pulling over to the road and asking people where something is. It works so well. You can't believe you lived without it. That's what the truth is like. There's no peer pressure to keep using it. There's no peer pressure or some hostile threat if you don't use it. It just works. Gets you where you're trying to go, and life is smoother, is better when you apply it. That's what these concepts are within Vedanta. And I think it's taking on a resurgence within culture right now. Certainly in India, but within the broader world, with people that have articulately spoken, elaborated, and expounded on what this philosophy has been saying since the dawn of time. What this philosophy has been saying in the oldest philosophical textbooks out there. The Vedas, the Upanishads, the philosophical portions at the end of the Vedas, what they have been expressing for thousands and thousands and thousands of years are these truths that when you try it out, question it like crazy, kick the tires, see if it actually works. Don't just take the other people's reviews of it. Download that app, give it a try. Does it get you where you're trying to go? Do these knowledge bombs, I just recorded an episode on knowledge, on one of my favorite knowledge bombs a few days ago. Do these knowledge bombs get you where you want to go? Do they work? And if they do, you don't need anyone else's opinion. It just works. Awareness of them helps. Succinct articulation of these principles helps. Reflection on them helps. But conversion, this whole project is really just finding water in the desert and finding a whole wellspring of water, and so many people parched. That you start telling people about the wellspring. But you're doing it kind of sitting back in a little stand with a sign with your feet up, and you're reading a book. You're kind of doing other things, but you're like, hey, I also feel a duty to let you know there is some water here. 99 out of 100 walk right by. You're like, yeah, well, maybe next go around they might find use of this down the road. But you don't really care. It's often said that 1 in 10,000 will find this philosophy interesting. But for those that do, it is water in the desert. So you put it out there. It's an obligation to let people know, hey, there's a wellspring right over here. But conversion, not needed. That is today's reflection on the Daily Vedantic. We'll see you next time.